Al Kadosh, Boker Or, Daf Yomi Masechet, Makkot. Daf Yud Gimel Amud Aleph, we're just going to start on Yud Bet Amud Bet. So 12b, the last few lines, 4 lines, where it starts a Mishnah. We're starting a new Mishnah. Okay? Kayotzebo. It says, Rotzeach, Shegala Lini Miklatov Ratzua Anshei Lechabdo, Yomar Lahem Rotzeach Ani. Imagine right now you have a Rotzeach. He comes to the Miklat. Now they come and they want to give him a lot of kavod. Why? They think he's an important person. Now they don't know that he's a Rotzeach, because at the end of the day, remember, the Miklat was not designated only for Rotzchim. Right? Remember, if there was too many Rotzchim, they couldn't have the Miklat. They had to be the majority of the people which were Leviim and which are, they had to be, so it can't be the majority of people Rotzchim. So what happens is they want to give him kavod. So he says, Amrulo, right? That means basically he had to tell them that he's a Rotzeach, because they cannot just come and start giving him kavod. He has to tell them, I am a Rotzeach. So he says, Amrulo, if they tell him, Afal Pichen, still they wanted to give him kavod for whatever that he did or whatever, so then he kabemen, so then he's allowed to accept it. Shnemar, veze devar Rotzeach. This is the words, right? The dibur, right? The varim, right? These are the words of the Rotzeach. So therefore he has to actually say it with his mouth. Yes, exactly. I mean, he has to say it. Because basically he has to explain it to them. No, they can't just come and just, you understand? So they come and they explain it. Fine. Ma'alim ayu sachar levim. You know, in the Remiklat, they had to pay the levim, right? So he says, why? Because they lived there, right? So they had to pay the levim, right? They had to pay rent, this, that. They had to pay the levim. These are the words of Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Min Omer, Rabbi Yehuda says, no, they wouldn't pay for them, right? They wouldn't have to pay. So the machloket, do they have to pay for their rent or not? Okay. So he says over here, V'chozel yisrara shayaba. Now what happens right now when he already goes back to his country, to his city? Meaning the Kohen Gadol dies, and now he's going to go back. So according to Shitat Rabbi Meir, he goes back to what he was beforehand. So for example, if he was a Nasi or Rosh Betav or whatever it is that he is, he's going to go back. Yeah, Rosh Hashevet, this, that. There's a whole thing here. Yeah? That's according to him. Now he says, some people say that's even if somebody else took his place in between. Yeah? But Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Lo ya chozel yisrara shaya ba. He would not go back to the same right thing that he had before, and that's how they pass it. And he doesn't go back. That means even if he was a Nasi, Rosh Betav, this, that, no, he doesn't go back. Yeah, he doesn't go back. Fine. Says the Gemara. Everyone with me? Oh. Yeah, you're checking it up. Yeah? Okay. Remind me. Afterwards. Taskil li achare Daf Yomi. Amar Rav Kana. Rav Kana comes and it says, Machloket b'shesh. The machloket that we say now, do they have to pay for the rent or not, is by the 6 cities. The more savar, because more holds, it says lachem, meaning it says in the pasuk, "Vayu lachem harim lemiklat lemiguel." So it's for you guys. So leklita, right, which means that it's going to be for you guys for klita. More savar lachem lechol tzorchechem, for all the right, for all your necessities, which means it should be for bechinam. So basically, the machloket, whether they had to pay the leviim or not pay the leviim, was only going to be to do with the 6 arem miklat, the main arem miklat, the big cities, the big arem miklat. But 42, but the other 42 cities of the leviim, ledivre akol, according to everybody, hayu ma'alim lahem sachar, they had to pay. So it means if a person had a choice to go to the 6 or to the 42, according to this, obviously he's going to try to go for the 6 if it was going to be for free, because those were the ones that was again, it's a machloket, but at least the machloket is yeah, a lot. Yeah. Okay. It just can't be a huge city, but somebody, it could be a regular city. In a regular city, you have in Zen. Amale Rava, says Rava, Hava dai lachem lechol tzorchechem ashma. 1 second, to do with the 6 arem miklat, when it says the word lachem, it is mashma for all your necessities, right? It's lechol tzorchechem. Ela Amar Rava, but rather Rava says the machloket is with arba'im u'shtayim, with the 42. The more savar, but more savar v'alehem titnu, right? That was given on to them. Ki hanach leklita, the same thing. Umor savar v'alehem titnu ki hanach, just like them. Ma lahanach, just like over there lechutz tzorchechem. Afanina mechutz tzorchechem. Aval b'shesh ledivrei hakol lo hayu mahalim lahem sachar. Yeah. So now it comes out that Rava retracts, meaning like this. One more time, right? If we make a chart, very organized chart, you have the Tanakama Rav Kahana. Rav Kahana comes and it says the machloket is, do you have to pay rent to the 6 cities? The 42 cities, lechule alma, you have to pay rent. The 6 cities, machloket, yes, no, why? Based upon the pasuk, because the pasuk comes and it says that it's going to be for you guys. It's going to be for you, lachem, laremiklat, right? Lemiklat, lemigoel. So therefore, they say, is it lachem just for protection? Or is it lachem lechol tzorchechem, for all your necessities? And therefore it means bechinam. That's the first shita. That is shita of Rav Kahana. Rava comes and he says, what are you talking about? When it says lachem, lachem for sure means lechol tzorchechem. So if it means for lechol tzorchechem, so therefore then what does it mean now? Right, when we're talking about the concept of, right, what does it mean now when we're talking about, right, the concept of
6 cities that they don't have to pay.
Yeah, the 6 cities, for sure they don't have to pay. The machloket is going to be by the 42 cities. Do they have to pay or not? Okay?
The 6 cities that are one in front of the other.
Yes, but then there's the other 42 Arei Levim, which are also Arei Miklat. So there was 48 in total. Right? Remember that there was 6 and then there was the 42. 42 like the Membet, right? And the Memchet, Muah. Yeah? So you have Membet was the 42 cities of Levim, which every city of a Levi was also considered a miklat. What was the nafkamina between the 42 and the 6, please?
What's the difference?
That's what I just asked them. What's the nafkamina? What's the difference between the 42 and the 6? We learned it already. I think it was last stuff.
6, if you are in the city, you know that it protects you. And
The other ones?
Can be in the city and you.
So the Levine, there's no protection.
Well, better said. No, you're right, doctor. But again, try to express it better.
It protects you if you are in the city for the 6.
Not in the city, with knowledge or without knowledge. You understand? Meaning, right? Meaning one more time. The Arei Miklat, the 6 cities, whether you knew it was an Arei Miklat or you didn't know it was an Arei Miklat, it protects you because they're the 6. The 42 protect you only if you know that it's an Arei Miklat and you're in the city. Meaning, if you're in an Arei Levim and you didn't know it was an Arei Miklat, it doesn't protect you. It's only Ladat, right? That's what we said. So therefore, the Arei Miklat, right? That's the difference between the 42 and the 6. The 6, they always protect you, right? No matter what. The 6 is always going to protect you. But the other 42, you have to know that it's an Arei Miklat in order to protect you. Okay? But it's Arei Levim. The Arei Levim, their protection. They're also Arei Miklat. Okay? Fine. Next part of the machloket of the Gemara of the Mishnah was, does he go back to the same position or not? So, for example, let's say he was in a sea or Av Beddin, and then he killed by accident, and then he has to go. So, does he go back to the same position or not? So, we had a machlok between Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Meir says yes, and Rabbi Yehuda says no. Yeah. So says the Gemara, Tanu Rabbanan, we learned to the Braita, v'shav el mishpachto v'lachuzat avotav yashuv. מה זאת אומרת? מה זה ושב אל משפחתו? He goes back to his family. Remember, we're talking about after the Kohen Gadol passed away. So אל משפחתו, למשפחתו הוא שב. ואינו שב למלך שהחזיק אבותיו. Says Rabbi Yehuda comes and he says, why does it say in the pasuk, ושב אל משפחתו? דווקא אל משפחתו הוא שב. He goes back to his family, but he doesn't go back for any powers or any of the, only to his family. Rabbi Meir Omer, אף הוא שב למלך שהחזיקו. ולאחוזת אבותיו ישוב. He says, the end of the pasuk says, right? ולאחוזת אבותיו ישוב. כאבותיו. He goes back like his fathers. Meaning that if the father was a nasi, so usually he used to go down, right? To the next one, to the son. So if the father, he also becomes a nasi. So the opposite, Rabbi Meir says, from that pasuk, you do get the same position that you had before you went to the Ir Miklat. Okay? Vechen, which one?
The pasuk.
No, The pasuk is talking about that when a person comes and there it's talking about an Eved Ivri. Yes, sorry. Yeah. The pasuk is talking about an Eved Ivri that after he gets freed, he goes back to his family and he goes back to how do you call it? To Velach Uzat Avotav Yashuv. And he goes back to the family ancestry. So Rabbi Yehuda comes and it says, you only go back to the family, but you don't go back to the family ancestry. According to Rabbi Meir, you do. Okay? Vechen begoleh. So now Selamim Shos, somebody that goes to Galut. Meaning it's not only by Neved Ivri. Also by somebody that goes to Galut, Keshu and Yashuv, right? Because there it says also, and so you could have just kept quiet, right? So why does it say V'shavim Yashuv? So he says, when it says Yashuv, it includes the Rotzeach. That he also, so that's what the Kshita of Rabbi Meir. Says the Gemara, what does it mean also by the Gule? Right? What does that mean? Right? What are you talking about? So he says, Kedetanya, Yashuv הרוצח לארץ אחוזתו, לארץ אחוזתו הוא שב ואינו שב למח שהחזיק אבותיו. These words are reviewed. רבי מאיר אומר, no, שב למח שהחזיק אבותיו. גמר שיבה מהתם, which means you're learning a gzera shava, right? Shiva. It says Yashuv. That's Shiva. Shiva is like Lashuv, Shav, right? To return. Right? The shortest is Shuv. Shin Vav Bet. Right? So it says, Yashuv הרוצח לארץ אחוזתו, ולארץ אחוזת אבותיו, Yashuv. Since the first pasuk says the Rotziach is going to be Shav, Yashuv, El Eretz Achuzato, he's going to go back to the land of his ancestry. And since it says by the Eved Ivri, Eretz Achuzat Yashuv, so they're making a Gzerah Shava that just like by the Eved Ivri, he goes back to his former status quo. So too, you go back to the former status quo. That is the Machlo, that is the Shita of Rabbi Meir. But Rabbi Yehuda comes and he says the opposite, that you don't go back, just like over there. That means basically they're learning the Gzerah Shava from Galut to Eved Ivri, and just like the Machloket is by Eved Ivri, do you go back to the family ancestry or not, meaning to the former position, so to the same Machloket applies by the Rotzeach, Hadran Alach, Elu Hena Golin. We finished the second chapter of Masechet, Makkot. Chapter 3. Okay? Perek Gimel of Masechet Makkot. Starting a new chapter. Velu Hena Lokim. These are the people that get lashes. Yeah, the one that's on the phone during the shiur. Yeah, ve'elu en alokin. Haba ela alachoto. If somebody is going to come and have relations with his sister, yeah, he gets lashes. Valachot aviv. Yeah, on achot aviv. That means his aunt. Alachot imo. Again, the aunt. One was from the paternal, one was the maternal. Valachot ishto. Sister-in-law. Valeshet achiv. Right? And on his sister-in-law, meaning the brother's wife. Ve'al hanida. Yeah? So, right, these are the ones that they get. Lashes mean a Torah. Okay? So, first of all, the first kvutza were chayvei malkut, which is the Isur Arayot, which they have karet. Okay? Because this was at the end of Parashat Achremot. Right? So he says, they get karet. Now, chelek mi Isur Arayot, there's also onesh mita bedin. Right? But he says our Mishnah is only talking about the ones that have the chiyuv karet by itself and not the ones that have mita. Okay? Fine. Here it says that the Yisur is even after the brother divorces the wife or even she becomes an almanah. Right? And the same thing with other women as well. Right? So therefore, he comes and he says, they're also going to be when they're married, then it's be'emet, it's a death penalty. Meaning if somebody goes with a sister-in-law, right? So it's death. She's a married woman, right? But here we're talking about, let's say the brother divorced her, right? Or the wife's sister, and she was divorced, or she was never married. So therefore, there's no death penalty of a married woman. So it's going to be karet plus lashes. So usually when they get lashes, they become patur from karet, right? But that's now another halacha. Okay? Next. Almana. Almana lekohen gadol. An almana to a kohen gadol. Grusha v'chalutza lekohen ediot. Mamzeret unetina liYisrael or bat Yisrael until mamzer. Again, they get, right? Again, so the first ones was also a chiyuv karet. The second one, there's no karet, meaning an almanat or kohen gadol, there's no karet. It's just an isur lav, and they make children chalalim, but there's no karet involved. It's just a negative commandment. The same thing for a grusha v'chalutzat or kohen idiot, right? It's there's no karet. It's only just a lav, a negative commandment. Yeah. Who receives the makot? The man and the woman.
No.
Yes.
Masechet.
Almanat, vaday. Here,
Not the Kohen Gadol.
same thing.
Almanah.
No, but also the kohen gadol. A kohen gadol got married to an almanah. Vaday.
Oh, yeah.
Would be too easy. Would be too easy otherwise.
Yeah, no, it's
Like,
on
look
both.
at the Makkot,
No, but look at the footnote. The footnote says there was a whole thing. Here it says over here, על אף המשנה הזכירה רק את עונשו של האיש הבעל ערווה מכל מקום, שווים הם האיש והאישה שותפים במעשה להיענש במלכות. זה משנה כריתות, דף י' עמוד ב'. זה אותו דבר. No, usually not. Usually they take him off from his powers. Exactly. Continues the Mishnah. Almana u'grusha chayavim alea mishum shne shemot. Do you know when you have a woman that she's an almana and a grusha, that she goes with a kohen gadol, there's two isurim. She's also an almana and also a grusha, right? You understand the case, right? You have, okay, you know the cases. No, so basically you have an almana and a grusha, and she gets married. Yes.
She's not really an almana and a grusha. Right now, she's only a grusha.
No, but she's got both statuses. Meaning that when she right now goes with a kohen gadol, he has now two avirot because she's a grusha plus an almana. One second. That's the first shita of the Mishnah. Second shita of the Mishnah, grusha v'chalutza eno chayav ela mishum acha bilvad. It's only going to be one avira. Because it's grusha v'chalutza, huh? Okay. Okay, next. Hatameh. Yeah, are you listening? Tameh. Yes, yofi. Hatameh she'achal et hakodesh. Somebody that's tameh, that he eats kodesh. Ve'aba el hamikdash tameh. Or he comes to the Bet HaMikdash when he's tameh. Ve'ochel chelev. He ate chelev. What is chelev? The prohibited fats. Yeah? Of a domesticated animal. Yeah? Is it? No. Yeah? Dam. Yeah, blood. Notar. Leftovers. Pigul. Pigul is that they didn't have the right kavanah for the korban. Vetameh, right? Or kodesh tameh. Ve'ashochet u'ma'aleh b'chutz. Or he does shechita and he takes it outside of the Bet HaMikdash. Ve'ochel chametz b'pesach. Yeah, a lot of people don't know this. They think, big deal, that somebody, they didn't sell the chametz. They didn't sell the chametz. They continued working on the chametz. And then they come and they sell it out. And then they come and they do all these abarazas. Yeah, they come and they do all these things. Yeah. So therefore, האוכל חמץ בפסח, והאוכל והעושה מלאכה ביום הכיפורים. And they come and they do מלאכה, right? They eat and they do מלאכה on Yom Kippur. והמפתם את השמן. Yeah, and he comes and he tries doing like the shemen המשחה, and he's copying the shemen המשחה of the Bet HaMikdash. והמפתם את הקטורת, or he's copying the קטורת. והסח בשמן המשחה, he's going to anoint himself with shemen המשחה. All these people get lashes. This is a long list, yeah? Look how much a long list. 39. You want me to show you how? I'll show you. Come. Fine, come. You'll see how it is. מה בקטנה? והאוכל נבלות וטרפות, שקצים ומסים. Somebody that's going to come and he's going to eat נבלות וטרפות. Remember, a nevela is that they didn't do shechita to it. Terefa means that it's not going to live the year. Shkatzim u'masim, you know what a sheketz is in a remes, yeah? Achal tevel, creepy crawlers. Achal tevel, somebody that eats untithed produce that they did not take off trumot u'masrot. U'maaser rishon, or maaser rishon that did not give the truma to the kohen. Or maaser sheni, ve'ekdesh shelo nivdu. Maaser sheni ve'ekdesh that was not redeemed. Kama yochal min tevel v'yeh chayav. How much do you have to eat from the tevel to be chayav? Rabbi Shimon says, kol shu, any amount. Chachamim come and say, kazait, a kazait. Elmaleh, and Rabbi Shimon says, Rabbi Shimon, you don't agree to me, if you eat a nimela, you're going to be chayav? He says, no, they said, a nimela, it's like the way that it was created. That's why you're going to get it in kol shu. He says, one chita is also going to be kibriyata. Meaning, if you're going to tell me it's because it's a bidya, a bidya is bidya, right? Bidya is a form of creation. That's why the bugs is so powerful, because no matter how small the bug is, technically speaking, you should have to eat a kazait. It says no, but since the bug is full in the way that it was created, you're chayav on that bug, no matter how small that it is. If you come and you zoom the bug and you kill it, so then no, there you have to eat a kazait to be chayav, right? And it could be batel and all those things. But here, if it's kibriyata, that's when be'emet you're going to be chayav on any amount. Okay? Says the Gemara, chayve kritut katani, chayve mito betin noktani. Says the Mishnah, right? Our Mishnah, the Tana of our Mishnah, only brought down the ones which are chayav karet, not the ones which are chayav mitat betin. Meaning, if somebody did something which is mitat betin, right? What's mitat betin? He went with a married woman. So if any of these cases, it was his aunt, but she was married, right? Or sister-in-law, but she's married. Or you understand, like all these cases where or his own sister and she's married. Any of these cases. So in such a case, it's chayve mito bedin. There we didn't bring it down. So matzriti mari, who's our Mishnah? It's going to be like Rabbi Akiva. The time was learned in the Braita. According to Rabbi Akiva, right? It says whether it's karet or mito betin, you'd give him a bet. 13b. Yeah, yeshno bichlam malkut rabbeim. You get lashes. These are the words of Rabbi Ishmael. Rabbi Akiva, Omer Rabbi Akiva says no. Chayve kritut yeshno bichlam malkut rabbeim. Imasu b'tshuva bedin shel mala mochlin. So therefore, if they did teshuvah, bedin shel mala are going to come and they're going to forgive them for the karet. No. Bedin shel mala. We don't have to know. Bedin shel mala will know. Meaning, if right now they receive the lashes and they did teshuvah, when they get to bedin shel mala, they'll be forgiven for their karet. But chayve mito bedin they don't get why. Because even if they did teshuvah and bedin shel mata mochlin, bedin shel mata can't forgive. Meaning like this. Imagine right now somebody went with a married woman. Right? You're going to come to him, and he's going to say, no, I did teshuvah. So now what? You don't kill him? Of course you kill him. Right? Bedin shel mata, they don't forgive. Right? Bedin shel mata, have to kill him. And only after killing him, then that is a mitato te kaparato. Right? His death is his kapara. You understand? But to do with Malkut Arba'im, if he receives the Malkut Arba'im and it's a chiyuv karet, and he does teshuvah, Bedin shel mala mochalino. So therefore, the Bedin shel mala, they're going to forgive him. Why? Because of what he did. Okay? Until here we're clear. So now says the Gemara, Rabbi Yitzchak comes and he says, Chayve kritut bichlal ayu. Do you know that the Chayve kritut, all the arayot were part of karet? Belama yatzata, so why did you come and you say karet bachoto? Meaning, it says that if anybody does any of these averot, they get karet. So why is it specifically by the sister, does it spell out that she gets karet? So he says, "Laduno bekaret velo b'malkut." To come and to tell you that he gets karet and there's no malkut. Okay, that means he gets the karet. There's no malkut to take it off of him. My tab under Bishmel. What's the reason in Bishmel that he says that chayvim malkut al kol lo ta'aseh shebatorah? Tichtiv, it says in the pasuk, "You not tishmor lasot kol divrei Torah zot." If you're not going to keep this Torah, uchtiv yifla Hashem makotecha. He's going to give you makot. Hafla zo. What is hafla? So he says, I don't know what it is. As kishu omer v'ipilo hashofet v'yikau lefanav v'haveh omer hafla zu malkut. So it says, the shofet is going to give it to him. He's going to hit him. So then that's what it means. So that's when you get lashes. So therefore, if somebody's ever going to ask you, how do you know that a lotase, a negative commandment, how do you know that you're supposed to get malkot? He says, if you're not going to keep these words, right? Right? If you're not going to be shomer, he's going to give the makot to you. If so, says the Gemara, so also positive commandments. Meaning, why do you say that you only get makot for the negative commandments? What about the positive commandments? So he says, it's if you don't keep it, which is negative commandments. Right? Like Rabbi Yavi, right? In the name of Relai. Whenever it says Hishamer lecha, or pen, or al, any of those three terminologies, it's a negative commandment. Right? But since it says Tishmor, so obviously it's talking about a negative commandment. So, Lav shemo masenami. It's also a negative commandment that does not have an action. You should also get lashes. And so the Gemara, imlo tishmor la'asot. It has to be an asiyah. It has to be that you're doing an action. That's when you get the lashes. It has to be a negative commandment plus an action. Lav shenitak masenami. So if you could fix it, but there is an action, you should also do it. So it says dumya de lav chasima. No, it has to be like the lav of chasima. What is lav of chasima? Lo tachsom shor b'disho. You're not allowed to muzzle a shor, an ox, right, when it's threshing. So he says, right, that's when the Torah is coming and saying that you have a risur, you have the malkut. So it has to be the exact same thing, which means it has to be domeh to the isur chasima. The isur chasima, there's no positive commandment to fix it. So too the same thing, right? Lo tachsom shor b'disho. Okay, so hashta dati la'achi. Right now that we got to this, kulu nami dumya de lava chasima. Everything should be like domeh to the lava chasima, which means there has to be a lo ta'aseh and it has to be a maaseh. It has to be a negative commandment. Plus, it has to have an action. Right? Because you did an action. You tied the muzzle to the ox. Okay? You're right. Exactly. There's no action, even though we'll speak about that. Fine. Next, Rabbi Akiva. According to Rabbi Akiva, that he comes and he says that also betin, they do not get lashes. My tama, what's reasoning? Kedei rishato, according to his wickedness. Which means you cannot give him two different avirot. And therefore, if somebody did an avirah that he's chayav mitabetin, they only give him mitabetin, they're not going to give him lashes. Meaning, misken, you're not going to kill him twice. Meaning, you're not going to give him lashes, and afterwards come and you kill him. It's either or. So therefore, okay, so you give him the death penalty, and that's it. Right? So he says, Rabbi Shmuel, according to Rabbi Shmuel, whether these mitau mamon, that's only by death and money, or malkut mamon, lashes and money. But mitau malkut, mitah richta. He says, no, mitau malkut is the same thing. Selam shos. You first give him a light death, and then you give him the big death. Right? You give him lashes, and then you kill him. It's all like one long agonizing death. Okay? Rabbi Akiva, according to Rabbi Akiva, Yahachiv so chayve kritud nami also chayve kritud. My Martha, why did he say? Because he said if they did teshuvah, hashtam yalav. But right now they didn't do teshuvah. That means they're going to come and they're going to give him lashes if he didn't do teshuvah. So therefore, you should give him the two different penalties. So Amar Yavu says Rabbi Yavu b'firusha ribedat Torah chayve kritud malchut tegamar le'eneh mile'enecha. Meaning, do you know? Right, the Gemara is going to say, how do you know that you're supposed to come and give lashes? So he says the Torah is giving the lashes with chayve kritut. They learn it from malkut because they learn it from le'eneh, from le'enecha. Meaning, when it says the concept of le'eneh, right, to do with chiyuv karet, they learn it from le'enecha. Nichretu le'eneh b'nei amam. Right, that's to do with v'nikra achicha le'enecha. Right, fine. So matkifla Rabbi Abba bar Maman. So ask Rabbi Abba bar Maman. Yahachiv so chayve mito betin nami nigmarim. He says, well, we should also learn chayve mito betin, right? Also malkut from gzera shava me'eneh le'enecha. Meaning, if you're learning chayve kritut, right, to lashes, and where do you learn it? From me'eneh to le'enecha, because it says by the malkut, right? V'nichretu le'eneh b'nei amam, and it says v'nikra achicha le'enecha. So enecha. So same thing. It says im me'eneh ha'edan nesta b'shkaga v'nikra achicha le'enecha. Also by mito bedin. So he says danin le'eneh mi le'enecha v'en danin me'eneh le'enecha. We only have a gzera shava le'eneh to le'enecha, not me'eneh ha'edah to le'enecha. So my nafkamina says, why? Sometimes you could do a gzera shava, even though it's not the same word. V'shava kohen u'ba kohen. זה אותו דבר? זה נפל המשוס. One is shav and one is ba. Right? One is to return and one is to come. He says, no. There, you're right. Right? And furthermore, ligmor milene, vegamor le'ene milenecha. He says, no. Kibla mine Rabbi Shmuel בר יצחק, כדי רישתו משום רישה אחת מרחבת ומלחמת משל שטויות, רישה מסורה לבית דין, הכתוב מדבר. They were only talking about the risha, which is given over to a bedin, which means basically only the ownership of malkut, right? Which is going to be the ownership which is giving over to the bedin, which means that I'm not going to be mechayev oto to onashim, right? That's only an ownership of a bedin. So therefore, according to Rabbi Akiva, chayve mitot bedin was excluded from malkut because mitah is an ownership which is given to bedin. Chayve kritut was not given to bedin. Karet, who gives karet? Hashem. Hashem gives karet, not bedin. Karet is a get cut off. That's Hashem. It's not bedin. So because of that, you can't. It's not the bedin. It was given to bedin. It was chayve mito bedin. Rava Amar. Rava comes and he says, "Atru beliktala." What happens if they came and they tell him you're going to get a mita bedin? So Kulu Amav lo pligi. Everyone agrees that he's not going to get lashes and die. Biglamaya atra. What was the warning? Raklamut. Lo lekabel malkut. So keep pligi. What is machloket? The atru bele malkut. Right? When they gave him a atra'a for lashes. Rabbi Shmuel Savar, Rabbi Shmuel holds lav shenita lazara mita bedin lokin lav. You do get lashes for a lav, for a negative commandment, which is an azara betin. And Rabbi Akiva is going to come and he's going to tell you, lav shenital azara mita betin, and lokin lav. You're not going to get lashes. Rabbi Akiva, and according to Rabbi Akiva, yachriv so chavekitu nami lav shenital azara karetu. This is 1 second. By Rabbi Akiva, it's also a negative commandment, which is given as an azara. An azara is like a warning. Remember that you always need a warning, and then you get the punishment, right? So the same thing here. It's used for a warning. Samale Rav Mordechai Ravashi says Rav Mordechai. Yeah? And Arbe Kaile. Yeah? But Rav Mordechai. Yeah, it comes and he says to Ravashi, Hachi Amaravimi Me'aguranya Mishmei Derava, Chayve Kritu Lo Tzicha Hatra. He says, Chayve Kritut, they don't need Hatra. Right? Why? Share Pesach, Anash. He says you have Korban Pesach and you have the Mitzvah of Milah. What do you get? Karet. Remember Korban Pesach. If a person doesn't bring the Korban Pesach, he gets karet. If a person doesn't do a Brit Milah, he gets karet. Afal Pishlo is here. There they don't get any type of a warning. So it comes out that you learn from here that any Chayve Kritut, right? That's what he says. The love of Chayve Kritut could use as an Azara for Nishmakut because you don't need a warning. Korban Pesach, you don't need a warning. If somebody doesn't do Brit Milah to his son, he gets karet automatically. Korban Pesach gets karet automatically. Here we're talking about obviously the son.
The dad or the son?
The dad.
Yeah.
The son is a baby. The son doesn't get it. But when it becomes bar mitzvah, then he also starts it, meaning that he would become the thing. So the Dilma, so Asa Gimela, maybe it's an Azara, the Korban Chatat. The Pesach Umila, the Lebe Azara, Lamati Korban. You don't bring a Korban. Meaning these two, they're miyuchad, that there's Chayve Kritut, but they don't bring a Korban, right? If they made a mistake on it. So he says, Hatam Lamenu Tama, Lamishum, the Itkash, Kol Torah Kula of the Chovim. There it's a catch. It's Makish. The entire Torah to Avodat Chovim. Just like Avodat Chovim, it's a Sheva Al Taseh. So to here, it's going to be a Sheva Al Taseh. Lapu Ke'anach, Hani Dekum Vaseh. The Korban Pesach and the Milah, right? It's a positive command, but you have to do an action. You have to bring the Korban. You have to go and you have to do the Brit Milah. So he says that's the reason why you don't bring a Korban on these Avirot, because it's not Domeh to Avodah Zarah, which has a Maaseh. He says all the other Chayve Kritut, it's Sheval Taseh, and they still get an Avirah. So therefore we're going to learn it from over there.